This year's regular legislative session had been relatively normal and civil. The end, however, was anything but. Today, we're taking a closer look at Missouri's 2025 legislative session. Republicans pulled a stunning move to pass legislation which could undo parts of two measures Missouri voters passed last November. But they sacrificed stadium funding for the Chiefs and Royals in the process. Governor Mike Kehoe suggested this means lawmakers aren't yet done in Jefferson City this year.
We definitely will be looking at a way to try to get that back before the General Assembly as well.
Governor Mike Kehoe suggested he'll call a special session next month to fund the Chiefs and Royals stadiums. If he does this, he might also bring up a $500 million funding bill, which was cut out of the budget. That's really where things started to break down this year. The House cut this, including $50 million for the MU research reactor, without letting the Senate know. Senator Lincoln Huff, who chairs the committee which oversees the budget in that chamber, was livid.
This isn't some fictitious giant number that no one can wrap their head around, and so it was just too big and it just had to stop. This affects people's lives.
Huff helped mount an effort which stopped legislation, including stadium funding, from getting through the Senate in the final week of session. Republicans pivoted to a measure which allows Missourians to vote to ban most abortions again. Democrats stalled this through a filibuster. All eyes were on whether they could ride this filibuster out to the end of session, just as they did last year, to help protect Missourians' ability to lift an abortion ban, which they did in November.
This is what Missouri looks like!
Republicans had a controversial backup plan.
The filibuster is meant to block this final vote on this abortion issue, whereas the PQ would say, okay, the filibuster's over, sit down, we're going to have a vote.
They chose not to use this last year.
It's considered in a lot of ways the nuclear option.
But with new leadership, they decided they weren't going to let Democrats filibuster abortion out of the legislature again. Republicans used the PQ or previous question in the Senate for the first time in 5 years, sending the abortion ban measure to the ballot and a bill getting rid of guaranteed paid sick leave to the governor.
The Republicans don't respect their fellow senators, they don't respect the voters, they don't respect the process, they don't respect the institution.
The PQ should not be considered any more of a nuclear option than a long filibuster should be. It's the same coin, just two different sides.
Kehoe has the option to call a special election for the abortion ban, but he made no suggestion he will do this. As an expert says, it may not be wise.
It's possible. There are a couple of downsides for him. One is, of course, it would cost both the state and local governments a fair amount of money to put on a special election. And the other thing is it may end up mobilizing voters who wouldn't otherwise participate.
The resolution is set to appear on the November 2026 ballot as of now. The summary of the resolution includes language such as, quote, protect children from gender transition, which the legislation has nothing to do with. Democrats say they will file a lawsuit claiming this violates a rule that a measure focus on a single subject. What the summary does not include is that although the ban has exceptions for medical emergencies, rape, and incest, it only allows them up to 12 weeks in a pregnancy.
12 weeks is ridiculous. The fear and denial that I've seen people go to.
Coming up, we take a closer look at the effects of eliminating guaranteed paid sick leave. We'll be right back. We continue our closer look at the 2025 legislative session with a bill sitting on Governor Kehoe's desk that will eliminate the guaranteed paid sick leave portion of Proposition A. Lawmakers took out an emergency clause, so businesses will officially no longer be required to provide leave effective August 28th. But this means Missouri workers will have already accrued legally guaranteed paid sick leave. It's unclear if workers will lose their sick leave immediately on the 28th, and a Missouri Independent reporter perplexed Republicans when he asked them what happens if workers all take time off at once, effectively shutting down businesses across the state.
Well, I think that's an interesting question, but I don't think we'll know yet until the courts rule on it.
What do you think will happen to Missouri businesses if everybody who has 2+ days of sick time takes it all on August 20th and 21st?
Yeah, that will be an issue.
If the law is that you get the sick leave, you ought to be able to get the sick leave, and people should be able to redeem those hours. I'm not sure that's a legal question, but I think if you have it, even after August 28th, I think businesses should honor what was the law.
This is not the first time Missouri lawmakers have attempted to supersede Missouri voters. Lawmakers rolled back access to Medicaid after Missourians voted to expand it in 2018.
We, all of us, including our grassroots supporters, need to do a better job of connecting a politician's votes on something versus what they vote on as it relates to issues. Like there is a disconnect there, and it's going to be our job, but every Missourian's job, to make sure that we are continually talking to voters to make sure they see that connection.
Not everything lawmakers did this year was an attempt to repeal what people voted for. Governor Mike Kehoe highlighted a bill allowing utility companies to raise rates while new power plants are under construction, and a bill getting rid of the capital gains tax levied on stocks and home sales as the first step in his plan to incrementally eliminate state income taxes.
This has been a successful session, and I don't think there's any other way to describe it.
But it was a session that left a lot of money on the table and many questions unanswered. Democrats say divisions at the end may cost the state 2 iconic sports franchises.
We were given options to continue on. We're not doing that. And from this point forward, if I have anything to say in it, everything is going to be so hard around here. It's going to be very hard.
As it seems likely the Republican governor will call all lawmakers back to make them prove it.
This is a huge economic development package, and you've heard me say that many times. Governors from both parties have called special sessions for economic development packages before.
Several bills we've covered in previous closer looks also did not pass, including a pair of bills which could prevent people from suing pesticide makers for not including cancer warnings on the labels of their products, and a bill establishing an independent review panel for the Department of Corrections. You can find all of our coverage over the Missouri legislative session on our website, KOMU.com, and we will continue to follow if lawmakers will be back in Jefferson City this summer, and if they are, we will be too.